Braid to a leader material, whether it's fluorocarbon or monofilament, is an excellent way to fish in many different types of situations, and it can actually save you money over the course of a season. But why do I use this so often? Number one is sensitivity. Words can't even really express how sensitive braid is. I love to fish with anglers that try braid for the first time as their main line, and their eyes just light up. They cannot believe how much more information that they are getting back to them, whether that's bottom composition, whether it's something that's got maybe the blades on their spinnerbait hung up, or most importantly, when a bite actually happens. The number of fish that I have landed, whether it's bringing it to the boat or bringing it to the shoreline because I felt that bite better with a braid mainline, is huge. It makes a massive difference. Number two, you can change the pound test of that leader material so fast. I don't know about you, but there's been plenty of times when I'm in a situation and I had just spooled up, whether it's straight fluorocarbon or straight monofilament, and then I'm out there fishing and I'm like, you know what? I need to change the pound test. Maybe I need to go up because I'm breaking off, or maybe it's a super tough day out and I need to go down to try to pick up some more bites. But I don't do it because I just spooled up an entire reel full of line and I don't want to take it off and waste that money. Well, when you have braid as a main line and then use a leader of some sort, it's just snip that leader off, go ahead and tie something else on, lighter or heavier, and you are ready to go so quick. I have become a much better angler adjusting to the situations in front of me because of this. Number three is a braided mainline eliminates a ton of stretch. I don't know about you, but there are some days when bites are hard to come by, especially bites from a bigger fish, and I want to make sure I get that fish to the boat. The jaws of bigger bass are much thicker, much stronger, and it's harder to get that hook to penetrate and land that fish successfully. Well, by eliminating as much stretch as possible with that braided mainline, we are transferring more energy from our hands holding the rod and reel right to the hook, and that makes a huge difference. If you've ever tried to stretch out the memory out of monofilament, let's say you tie it off to the side of your boat and then stretch that line, it's shocking how much stretch is actually in there. So eliminating stretch in key situations will help you land more fish, and especially some of those bigger fish, because of the transfer of energy is more efficient. Number four, using a braided mainline eliminates memory or line twist. Whoa, if you have fished for any length of time whatsoever, you've probably dealt with memory in fluorocarbon or monofilament when it starts to wrap up and look like a telephone cord, causes all kinds of issues. It's easier to get backlashes or have it just blow up off of that spinning spool. You cannot cast as far. Sometimes it'll wrap up around the tip of your rod. It's an absolute nightmare. Well, using a braided mainline eliminates that problem. As a matter of fact, that is why I switched to a braided mainline on all of my spinning reels. Once in a while I'll still use a straight fluoro or something like that on my spinning reel, but most of the time I have a braided mainline, and it has made such a huge difference. And that leads me right into number five, is increased casting distance. And I've really noticed this with my finesse fishing when I'm using your Ned rigs and shaky heads, those types of things, and I've got that braided mainline on my spinning reel. I can cast those ultra light weights, those ultra finesse lures so much farther. And when we are finesse fishing, distance is important. That distance away from us, away from the boat, away from our shadow being cast out onto the water on the shoreline. So my finesse fishing, using the braided mainline, has just really changed things for me in a big way. And number six is cost. Believe it or not, I actually save money by using a braided mainline and then going to some sort of leader. I can have that braided mainline on all season long, and if the end of it starts to get frayed, I can just snip it off, or I've even actually unspooled it, flipped it around and put it back on. And not to mention, when I'm using a fluorocarbon leader, I'm only putting out there 6 foot, 8 foot at a time, and then changing out a small piece of line so that, you know, $20, $25 spool of fluorocarbon lasts me much, much longer. So in the long run, it has actually saved me money, and that's important when bass fishing equipment is so expensive. Now, of course, there are situations when I will go with a straight fluoro or a straight mono. For the fluorocarbon, when I'm using crankbaits, suspending jerkbaits, I'm going straight fluoro the entire way. Topwaters, a lot of times I'll put straight mono on there. So braid to leader, of course, is not the answer for every situation, but for a lot of situations that we run across, it is extremely effective. Now, what about the knot, going from that braided line to your leader? Well, if you want to watch a video on the knot that I use and really like because it's quick and super easy to tie, it's the red Phillips knot, go ahead and check this one out right here. And make sure that you go out and encourage someone today. You never know how you might just change their life. For the Bass Fishing Life, I'm your host, Steve Rogers.